Jenni Hogan, Next Big Thing with Michelle Goldberg intro. Hi, I'm Jenni Hogan. Thanks for joining me on this podcast called Brilliant Brains and the Next Big Thing. We're trying something new today. We are on location at Mpire, a restaurant in downtown Seattle, and we're here with the amazing Michelle Goldberg. She's one of my mentors. So excited to have her on this show with us. She is a venture capitalist, invested millions over the last 13 years in up-and-coming companies that are now doing amazing things in the technology space. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Excited
so
to
lovely
have
to see
you. Yay! Well, you have a next big thing we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about it just yet, but you're very into the field of technology investing and what the trends are that you're noticing with that. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to say about that coming up. But first, we want to warm you up. So I have a little segment we call Jenni's Gems. It's GEMS. It's little nuggets from my life that have impacted me in the last week that I think I can pay it forward. So sort of feel free to jump in and let me know what you think of my gems as well. So you know this, I've recently moved the last week. I've actually been in a new house for 2 days. And Josh and I, my husband, are very into walking to restaurants and being sort of downtown type people. And when we were looking, we looked at a downtown apartment and then we looked at suburbs. Downtown apartment, you know, that would be great for me and Josh, but we have a 3-year-old daughter, or almost 3. And so the suburbs, a yard, we did it. We made the jump.
Wow.
Yeah. So my gem is James. He was someone I was working with this week, and he told me, once you have kids, sometimes it's about the kids. What do you think of that? Did I make the right decision?
I think you made. The first thing I was going to say when you said the yard, I really pictured Santa playing in the yard.
She's so happy.
And what's she doing in the yard?
She is chasing after the dogs.
Yeah.
She's watering the garden,
Yeah.
grabbing the hose. You know, mommy's
Even though
little
she's a
helper.
Seattle kid, she's still watering the garden.
Still watering the garden. It's raining on us, and and you're a mother, so just to, you know, your life is about them now. It isn't being selfish and living downtown and.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you have to integrate who you are with who they are as kids too. And I think if you can find a great balance between you guys as adults and her as a child, and the things she likes to do and the things you like to do, and when you can do that and really bring the things you love to do to your kids as well, that's when the magic happens.
I'm excited. I have a little anxiety because I feel like I'm growing up, but I feel like it's almost past time to grow up. She's almost 3. So that's my first gem, is realizing that this world is more than just myself and my husband, and living for my kids may actually make my world a better place.
Yeah.
Which is a nice realization.
Yeah.
The second gem is in moving, it's really stressful. Have you ever moved before?
I have moved.
Okay.
And with kids, it's perfect because you can use it as a great transition to get rid of all of the things that you don't need anymore.
We detoxed. We got rid of a little bit too much, so did the garage sale thing on the weekend too. And I also learned it's a very stressful point. So we're driving in the car, homeless. We were living in a hotel until this house was ready. And I was a little stressed, and I had a moment of having a moment with my poor husband, who's been great through this. And Siri picks up. Apparently when I scream at my husband, it calls one of my friends John. So I get this text, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, what's he talking about? So my learning lesson is that know who Siri calls when you're in a heat of letting out your frustrations to each other.
Really?
Yeah, did you know that?
No.
Okay, so there's my gem.
That
Be
is
very
a great
careful.
gem.
So go and scream or something, or pretend and see who your phone calls. I had no idea, but it called him twice during this moment. And he was very polite. He's texted back and said I didn't leave a message, but I really think I did, and he just doesn't want to tell me. So that's my 2 gems. Do you have a gem this week?
So I do have a gem this week. So I'm a big, I invest in finance, and I love to read, and every Saturday morning I read my Barron's paper. And Barron's has been edited, and the first article in Barron's comes from this guy, Alan Abelson, who's been editing and writing this column for longer than I've been alive. And Alan died this week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So sad.
So it was really sad, and it was, every Saturday morning I grab my tea, and it's almost like having this great professor come for coffee, because he was not only a really keen financial brain, but he wrote this article almost like poetry.
So what did you do this Saturday? Was it a moment of...
I really, I went to every article. There were his obituaries everywhere, and so I went online. And one of my gems was one of the other editors who was writing as part of his obituary, how he had mentored him and the things that he told him and things he told him about writing. And I wrote it down because I thought it was great for all of us who are writers and bloggers and social media and share. And his advice when this guy was just getting started was, write in your own voice, don't be afraid to be wrong, and keep your readers surprised.
I love that. Can you read that one more time?
Yep, as I close it. Write in your own voice.
Write in your own voice.
Don't be afraid to be wrong.
I love that.
And keep your readers surprised.
Great. I love that gem. Thank you for sharing that. And
so I think he was a gem, and we lost him this week, and I hope that the other writers can emulate him.
And now you can pass it forward through talking about that in this podcast and everyone listening. And if you are listening to this podcast and want to tweet along, it's hashtag Jenni Podcast. Jenni with an I. Do you know why it's Jenni with an I?
No, it's so funny. I was just thinking of this today.
So I'm Jennifer.
I wonder if it was the Australian.
Well, I'm Jennifer growing up, and everyone was named Jennifer because of Days of Our Lives. At the time, Jennifer was born, and so all these women who watch Days of Our Lives who have kids name their daughter Jennifer. So I wanted to be different, and I didn't understand the Y in Jenni, because you're cutting the fur off, right? F-E-R, and it's Jenni with an I. So that just made sense, 8 years old.
So you
and
made it.
I just stuck with it, so it's Jenni.
And I'm Michelle because Michelle My Belle was the big song at the time. So that's why Michelle was so popular.
Oh, that's funny. We should add that song into the background.
No, don't.
So my guest today is Michelle Goldberg, amazing mentor and investor. Let's talk about the mentorship. And this is how we met.
Yes.
Which is an interesting story. So I tracked down Michelle. I semi-stalked you, I think. And you have a lot of people doing that. You have a lot of people reaching out.
When you're an investor,
yeah, everyone wants to talk to you, pick your brain, pitch things to you. And I didn't give up.
No.
So when was the moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to take this girl's phone call or coffee or email? Do you remember that?
You were persistent, but persistence doesn't always just make it happen.
Yes.
There is that, well, she's been really persistent, she's probably not going to go away. But a very dear mutual friend of ours who had also been a mentor to you and who is a collaborator of mine finally said, you should really meet this woman.
So, to him. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And so we did, and it was lovely.
I loved it.
The funny thing about meeting you at first is, we always met after you got off the air.
Yes.
And you come in, and you've been through hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And you're beautiful and tall, and I was just at that. I would be in the middle of my day, and you'd come to my office.
Well, I've been on air since like 3 a.m.
Exactly.
So yeah, I forget that it's the middle of other people's days, and I strut in my heels and my. That's funny, because usually the people you meet with probably don't look like that, right?
No, the people I meet with do not usually look like you.
So let's talk about what you do and how you got there. So you're a partner at Ignition.
Yeah.
You're one of the only female face, I think, when I looked on their website.
Yeah.
And how many men there? 20 or so?
Well, 10. I have 10 partners.
What's that like, going to a board meeting in your cute little heels? And
Yeah, there's very few women in VC. There's too few women in technology, but we're fixing that. And so for sure, many of my board meetings, I am the only woman.
But you're proud of it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yay.
And yep, I go in my cute little heels.
Good. You have to add a little sparkle or the nail color or something, right, to change it up.
Yeah, they always learn something from me.
So how did you get to this place?
How did I get to this place? Well, I think VC and investing is never a straight path. And if you ask any VC, we've all come from different angles. And that's one of the things I love about life. I think that things that have a straight path, if you get there a different way, you always bring a different angle to it. And going back to Alan Abelson, this writer who died this week, he was a creative writer. He had been schooled in creative writing and then became one of the best financial writers of really the last century. And so I love that, coming from a different place and being who you are, and lots of VCs do that. So I came from, I was an investment banker. I had come from finance. I had not come necessarily from technology. Technology was a sector I was just entering into. I was very lucky. I had done a consulting gig at Microsoft, and I learned a lot in the year I was there, and learned certainly enough to hang with the rest of my partners who were very, very technical. And what I brought to our firm and to investing at the time was the deal background. And having been an investment banker and M&A and really
So when you say deal background, is that closing the deal?
So it's everything. It's opening, structuring, and closing the deal.
Got it.
And one of the things I love about VC is when you do that, once you close the deal, you sit on the same side of the table with the entrepreneur for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And so you really become part of the deal.
And that's something you're very passionate. We said, and that's how we met, the mentoring.
Yeah.
And so now I'm starting to see how this all comes around to your everyday
Yeah.
job as well, because once you do invest and give them money, it's like a sports team. You're there to push and make sure they win with everything you can do.
Yeah. And I think of it less as pushing and more as smoothing the way. Assisting, yeah. It's my advice. I don't tell people what to do. I try to be part of the process and do anything I can to smooth the process for the entrepreneur.
So how do the lucky ones get through and get your brain?
So I think, I don't like to invest in things where I can't add value and I don't really know about it. There's a lot of things I see that I think are just fabulous ideas and could have great markets attached to them. But if I can't help, it doesn't make sense for me. So the first thing is to really be in the space that I'm interested in. And we've talked a lot about this space. It's digital media, internet, digital retail, women on the web. And now what I've been really interested in is online and offline and how the real world's not going away. So how do we use technology to enable the real world, whether it's with a phone and an app or a website or just some sort of technology. So those are the things that I'm passionate about. And I hope to draw those entrepreneurs toward me who are also building in that space.
And I mean, I mentioned some of the companies like SEOmoz, Glimpse, Julep. They're very different companies.
Yeah.
But they do have those traits that you're talking about.
Sure. Glimpse is really one of those enabling real world actions with great technology and making things better, more efficient, more fun. SEOmoz is just so deeply understands how the internet works, their technology, their analytics. And for me, that was one where I just wanted a seat at the table because this was really the future. And being with that company and watching how they've grown and how the future has also come to us with that company has just been fascinating. And then being involved with the things I'm involved with in digital retail and commerce, like Julep, is I love the psychology of buying and products and the online transaction.
And you always press me on what brands do you like? Who is it?
Yeah.
You have to pick your one. I mean, we're talking about, I think, the fashion, and I was like, if it looks good, I like it. Like, I'm really unique when it comes to that. Like, a lot of people have theirs, and you were really helped me work out who I am and aligning that with different brands and companies as well.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I do when I mentor. I mean, we really step back and sort of, and when we did that exercise, it was like 3 hours we talked, and I really understood who you were.
Whiteboard,
by the end of it. And the
she takes pictures of these whiteboards. And do you still have them somewhere in a little file? Oh my goodness.
I do. Yeah, we're going to look back on those.
That would be great.
But I think in our culture, brands is just something that people so resonates with who we are and how we interact. And it doesn't shape all of who we are, but it definitely gives some guideposts.
Oh, you were like counseling me through it. Like when I said someone, you're like, okay, that's where your head is, and then you'd start writing stuff up, so you can really
And I think
identify.
the brands are emotive, and what we were trying to get to was the emotion of who you were and who you are as a brand too, Jenni Hogan Media, right?
So let's talk about the next big thing, since we're going into this VC and you're talking about the technology. And I'm really interested because you get all these people coming to pitch to you and tell you their ideas. You're on the forefront of things before we as consumers even are anywhere near seeing them as products or in our houses.
Yeah.
So what is the next big thing in this space, you think?
So I think the next big thing for me is looking at digital retail, which I love, and just how I've been talking about offline and online and enabling the real world, because thankfully the real world isn't going away. We aren't all going to play video games for 23 of our 24 hours online all the time.
Did you hear that study? We're online 23. Okay, when do we sleep? But it's true, I have the phone by me.
Yeah.
And then I was starting to think, when is the hour that I don't have the phone by me? And I guess it's when you shower.
Yeah.
When do you not have the phone by you?
I guess so. I mean, I think that's the point. It's just becoming integrated into your life.
Yeah.
But your real life isn't going away. You moved this week. You know that more than anyone. That's a very real life action.
Yes.
So as I look, I really love the things that integrate what we do every day and using technology and mobile and apps and the internet to enable those actions to just be more interesting or efficient or better. And one of the companies that I'm working with that I love in this space is called Mpire.
How do you spell that?
Hointer.
Pointer.
Mpire. And the CEO is a fabulous woman, Nadia Shorabora, who comes from Amazon. She was the most senior technical woman at Amazon and on the senior leadership team there. She's a supply chain genius, and she has really figured out how to use technology, both front-end technology with your phone and with the internet, to shopping and retail and trying on first clothing. And she started off with men's jeans, and now she's gone to women's jeans, and enabling the real world shopping experience, but also using the technology to make that better.
It's so hard to find jeans that fit.
Well, I think she may have solved the problem.
I love that. And if you can save time with me and make me look cute, I'm sold through technology.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So did she come and pitch to you?
You know, we met through the industry. We judged a startup weekend together.
Okay.
And then just decided that we needed to get together and have coffee. And while we were doing that, she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm starting a new company."
So you're like, tell me more.
Exactly. And so I've just been fascinated with how she thinks about things and what she's done. And she's a true entrepreneur. You would love her, and I'll introduce her to you at some point. She is, you know, she's quick and she gets things done, and she knows how she wants it to be, and she has a huge drive to her.
So next big thing in the technical space is definitely...
Yeah, and I think, and I've been looking for a long time in digital retail, sort of what's the next thing that we've been through a lot with daily deals and flash sales, and so how do you think beyond that and build some of these bigger lifestyle brands as well?
So is part of your job future casting, if that's a word?
I guess so. I think I try to think deeply about what's next and what feels like can really be next, and not the next 5 to 10 years. One of my partners says you can be right on trends and wrong on timing, and you're still wrong, because you can't wait forever for these things to happen. So we all know things that will happen maybe in 10 or 20 years that we can envision, but when you're an investor, you have to be able to see your way to things happening in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years.
Is it hard not to just throw money at everyone that walks in the door? Like, you see their passion and...
Yeah, you certainly you want people to keep going and to follow their passions. One of the things that I love and I can do is use my network to try to create, if I'm not the right person
Yes.
and the right investor or the right person sort of for the next step on their journey, if they need a co-founder or they need something before they get to investment, then I really try to make those connections.
Great. My question that I want to ask is nothing really to do with the topic we're on except that name. Have you heard of a bunch of different names of startups? I mean, how did they come up with, it was Pointer?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think what Pointer was is a little bit of hunter and the hunt for when you're shopping.
So sort of changing a word that's already there.
Maybe. I mean, at this point,
Everything's gone.
Everything's gone. All the URLs are gone, right?
Yes.
And so we have new top-level domains, and so maybe that will bring in some. And it's really funny when a company does walk in the door and they tell me their name, and it's actually a real name. I'm like, wow, that's a real word. Like, I'm always impressed by that.
Do you care about the name, or is that something that could change?
I think, names can change, and also, I have another partner that says, names are a vessel, and it's what you fill them with. So I always think of Orbitz, the online travel. Like, that's not an obvious name for online travel, but they've really filled it with their
Making
brand.
it a brand. I mean, Google, what was that word?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So names are what you make of them, and again, it's all back to how you weave it into the brand and build that emotion around what you're doing.
Do you realize people are nervous when they come to you? I'm asking you the questions I've wanted to
ask
you.
People are nervous when they come to you?
We're like the same team now. We can flip it back. You're not nervous today. You're doing great. We're just chatting. Right? Just a microphone or two. I was really nervous when I came to meet with you. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, I don't. I actually don't think about that. But
I don't think I pitched you, though. We were the mentor relationship, right? I think
you were in transition.
Yeah.
Which actually appealed to me.
Which is good, because I wasn't coming to get some of that money as coming for your brain.
Yeah.
Love it. Now I'm sharing it with the world. Let's talk about that brain and your family time. I mean, I don't sleep. I have things going on all the time. What's it like for you? Can you switch off?
I can, and that's where technology is still pervasive, and I think it is one important thing to teach our children still how to be present and how to have interactions and relationships that are also without technology, non-technology.
That's interesting, because where we have moved, I'm trying to work out where my office will be. Is it in the house, or do I still continue to go and sort of go to coffee stores or meet up at other places? And it's hard with Sienna around always. She can't play. If mommy's there, she wants my attention. So I don't feel like I'm being a great mom. I don't feel like I'm giving all my attention to my work.
Yeah.
And so I'm really trying to work out that balance.
It can be confusing for kids.
Yeah.
But I do think it's the work of the future too, right?
Yes.
More and more people are going to have multi things that they do during the day, and whether it's family or friends, and that's all going to be weaved into their work as well.
Well, and my car's my office, I'm noticing. I get a lot done. So if there's technology that can help me add to my life while I'm going from point A to point B, I like that technology.
Yeah, I think so.
So speaking of the next big thing, let's move on to your next big thing.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the Aspen Institute and the honor of you were just...
I've become a Crown Fellow of the Aspen Institute.
And this is a big deal. For everyone listening, I didn't know what the Aspen Institute was. Talk to me about what that means.
So, it's funny because I think in some ways it will mean a lot of what I make of it. But the Aspen Institute is an institution that is really thinking through the big questions globally in our world, and thinking a lot about leadership. And so how do you answer some of these big questions? How do you enable others to do so? This program does a lot of what I do as an investor and as an early stage investor. They're also investing in people and ideas and dialogue.
So how many fellowships are there?
So every year they bring a class together of about 20 people.
20 people worldwide?
Yes. And actually they're doing, this one is based in the US, and they've just started a China one, and they do others around the world.
Can you talk about some of your classmates?
Sure. I mean, I think that the biggest thing is, they say to us, you're going from success to significance. So you've had success in some area of your life, and professionally or personally, and how do you then use that to make an impact on the world? And I haven't met my fellow classmates yet. I will in June.
Do you go to Aspen or?
The funny thing is, it's always at the Institute. And this year they said, oh, we're going to do something different, and we're going to have the first leadership class, which is a week-long class, in San Francisco.
What?
Which is funny for me because I'm always in San Francisco, and I was so excited to go to Aspen. But I will
we'll
go to the
just
Institute.
Organize a trip there.
Yeah, there's so much going on at the Institute, and there's a bunch of follow-up things that I'll do there. So
and it's
that
a
will
year-long
be exciting.
fellowship?
It's a couple of years, and basically you start with this program and do this leadership program for a week, and we've gone back to school. We're reading a lot of text and a lot of really interesting things, from Martin Luther King to texts on World War II,
so
Machiavelli,
on top of
even.
Else you're doing,
yeah,
all
exactly,
the
exactly.
Being a mother,
and it's funny, they printed it out for me, and it's hard to actually do digitally and go and find those books because it's sections of things. So I actually have a physical, paper that I'm reading, which is odd for me because I'm used to reading on my phone or my Kindle or my iPad. And so I have the text, and I'm walking around with that with one hand and the iPad in the other, and cooking at the same time.
And you travel a lot. I mean, I'm so
do.
lucky that you're available today at this time. I couldn't believe it. And so I was like, come on in, let's have a chat. But a lot of travel too.
Yes, a lot of travel, East Coast, international travel.
And you lived in New York for a while?
Yep. And so when I go back to New York for a couple of companies I'm involved with, and I just love it because it's a sense of going home in some ways and seeing friends and girlfriends and family.
How long have you been in the Pacific Northwest now?
I have been here almost 16 years.
Almost 16 years? Wow. Have you fallen in love with the dampness and the?
Yes,
Isn't that funny?
definitely.
The
Although last week was beautiful.
Oh my gosh, with the
But I was almost
sunshine.
happy for the rain because it's like, okay, now I can stay inside a day and get everything done.
Did you switch back into New York after 16 years when you go there?
A little bit. No, it's funny, actually, when I'm in New York, I feel like such a Pacific Northwester.
Can you hail a cab? I cannot hail a cab in New
Well, now
York.
I have Uber. See?
Oh,
Which is
yeah,
another
I
one of
love
my
that.
favorite examples of, using technology for a real world
So Uber,
experience.
UBER, it's an app you can download, and the car comes to you. Well, it can see where you are from location based.
Yes.
You can book it, you get in, and you don't have to pay because it's all in the app. Well, you do pay, but it feels like you don't pay.
It does. It bills your credit card.
It includes the tip. I love that too. Because I'm one of those people, I go to New York and I'm polite. So if you're polite, you don't get a cab.
However, it's great on Uber because at the end of Uber, the app asks you to rate the driver, and you can rate 1 through 5 stars, right?
Yes.
But do you know that they rate you too?
No. I didn't know
They rate
that.
you, so as you hail an Uber.
Oh my gosh, I want to find out my rating. How can we find out? Oh my, no, because I think sometimes
Did you steal
I
the
get
magazine
in,
or the water?
I didn't steal anything, but once I just didn't want to talk, and he was just talking. I'm like, he just wants a 5-star, but I just needed I needed to check my emails, and I was really quiet. So maybe he thought I was getting me time, but I might have been a little non-talkative.
Yeah.
Which is so not me. Usually I create 10 companies with the cab driver.
That's
as
how
we're
I know
talking,
I was because I talked to the drivers.
Oh, so you've got a good star rating. All right, so this is wrapping up the podcast now, and I would love to ask you, and thank all of you for being along with us, that are listening and watching. What one thing the listeners can do right now to make you smile right now?
To make me smile.
Yes.
And I think the thing that I learned this week is what you're trained to do is not necessarily who you're going to be or the impact that you're going to have on the world. And so I think what would make me smile is if people take that risk and be what they want to be and bring everything that they've learned from everything they've done so far in life to the new thing.
I love that. And then tell you about it, right? They can tweet you.
Sure.
What's your Twitter handle?
ELLGOLD.
It's
Yep.
ELLEGOLD.
Yes.
At ELLGOLD. We'll tweet you and we'll tell you about our moments of changing.
Yeah.
And realizing what we're meant to be in life, which you're really helping me with. So thank you.
You're
it's
welcome.
It's scary, exciting, but I feel really alive.
Oh, good.
And it's wonderful
It's
to have
so
you
wonderful
on this
to
journey.
watch.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thanks to all of you for coming along
Thank
and being
you.
a part of this as well. Thanks, Michelle.